arise with any sobhanacitta. So I want to clear that up because
No,
it's a contradiction.
Oops, I've lost my picture.
Good point. Good point. Good
No,
point.
I wouldn't have said that it can.
Click on
Oh,
start video.
start video. No, I wouldn't have said or suggested it can arise with any sobhana. With any sobhanacitta, sati has to arise. Sati is there with arising with any sobhanacitta. So at any moment of metta, any moment of dana, sati is there, but it doesn't appear at those moments, but it arises.
It arises without appearing. How is that?
Yes, yes. Like now, at a moment of kindness, sati arises with the moment of kindness, but the characteristic isn't experienced. It's not known by understanding. So there's a difference between arise and appear.
To have it manifest in some.
Even in deep sleep, sati arises with the citta, but there's no knowing anything about it. And without the development of understanding, the characteristic of sati doesn't appear. It's not known at all.
But what did
contradiction?
Ajahn mean then when she said that sati does not appear when there is no satipatthana?
Right, that's correct. So if there's no development of understanding, then the characteristic of sati doesn't appear, but it arises.
Right? It wouldn't arise and manifest unless there's satipatthana.
It performs a function.
It arises, it performs its function, but it's not known.
It doesn't.
Yeah,
it keeps
okay.
and it's not forgetful of kusala, but there are many other sobhana cetasikas too together. It doesn't mean exactly.
It's like Hiri and Ottappa, they arise with all sobhana cittas, but they don't appear. No knowing about them.
Yeah.
So no contradiction.
สวัสดีค่ะทุกคนค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะอาจารย์ สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์ครับ
We were just having a brief chat with Betty because there was a little bit of confusion about arise and appear, and we were discussing how sati arises with any sobhana citta, but without the development of understanding, the characteristic doesn't appear. It's not known at all. So I think sometimes there is confusion about arise and appear. Do you have anything else to ask about it, Betty?
Sorry, no, I think that's fine. That's clear now. Okay, thanks.
I have a point.
Go ahead, Nina.
Yes. I realized when the object is just right for anger, the anger can appear. I had this with some medical assistants, people who come 3 times a week to do something to me. And one of them had a telephone and was using it. And I was annoyed by his telephone because he keeps me waiting and it doesn't occur me at all. So I said that I was annoyed about his telephone. And then he started to talk so harshly to me. For years, I haven't heard that. And I had quite a lot of aversion. But there was a very good point by Jyotika. She said she found it so important to acceptance. It was a few weeks ago about acceptance of situations. And then Jonathan said, it's not a matter of changing anything or your own behavior or a situation. It's gone already. And the development of understanding should be just very natural. So don't try not to have akusala or not to have anger. And then Sarah said something useful, that understanding of realities is the opposite of I being in a certain way. So if understanding is not enough, it's not realized. But I found this, and it was just a remark by Jyotika, or it could be anyone else, that can be very useful. So nobody should hesitate to ask anything at all. It can be really useful for all of us. I found this a very helpful point that Jonathan said, don't change anything. He said it many times at other occasions, but I understand it better now.
Yeah, but Nina also, I mean, the anger that you hadn't, you had not felt anger against this person for many years or whatever, because there are conditions for the anger to arise. That was, Nina, you need to put on your microphone.
Yeah, I put you on the microphone. It's gone already, and that's such a good reminder. No use to feel guilty or worry about it, that I was so angry, because it's I again.
When we were chatting about metta a few weeks ago or sometime, Ajahn gave one or two good reminders about, first of all, it's gone. And another thing, it's no one who did it. And no one means to be mean or behave badly.
Yeah,
no one wants to have a kusala. But so because of clinging to the self, we think of other people. But yes, what kind of cheetah is always thinking about other people? And she also gave a helpful comment, and it may be helpful for her to elaborate about, actually, everyone is the same. We think of this person or that person, but actually they're just cheetahs, chaitasikas and rupas that are conditioned and fall away all the same.
Yeah.
So I think the understanding helps a lot.
Yeah, very good. Very good. Because I think he was not right. He should not put on his telephone when he is helping other people. But then I keep on thinking about that he is not right. It's no use. It's no use.
It's always the idea of someone who did it or someone who's not behaving right. And it's not the understanding of dhammas. And by the time, like we're often reminded, by the time we're upset or disturbed, maybe no akusala on his part at all. All the akusala is with the chitta of thinking now.
Yeah, that's very good. Because we always think the wrong way in that way. Yeah.
And it's gone.
It's gone too, yeah. But after a while, I can forget about it and we talk normally to each other. But it was very strange happening for me, because I'm not used to such a harsh tone to be spoken to.
Anything can arise by conditions because the anusaya haven't been eradicated. So like in his case, suddenly conditions for speaking harshly, or in yours, suddenly for anger to arise. Anything can arise because of the clinging to oneself.
It was the right object for me to be annoyed. Because usually I don't mind anything that people are doing, but just a telephone that he used. It's so funny, really.
It is funny, really, when one thinks about it, but at the time, just conditions for dosa.
Just conditions, yeah.
Ajahn, anything further you would like to add to any of these points?
I think that we heard a lot about everything now, but there's not yet the understanding of the characteristic of a reality as it is. So we can talk about ignorance because we talk about that name and the story about everything. But what is there after seeing 3 moments? See, ignorant again. And as we don't know how much ignorance is there, we think that we understand many, many things about this moment, but actually, not yet. The realization of even that which arises and see. See, we can say that whatever now sees is not self, it's only a moment, condition to arise and see. That's all. We keep on thinking or saying about this, but the fact is that is it the moment of beginning to understand the characteristic which is not self. That's why it has to begin to understand the difference between that which experience. Even right now, it is experiencing. When we are familiar with the word, it experiences. But what is that? Experiences is different from that which cannot experience. Otherwise, we know a lot about citta and cittasikas and rupas, about seeing and hearing, but not the moment when it's there. That's why to understand how much ignorance is there from moment to moment, from life to life, then there can be the moment of beginning to understand that no matter how much we learn about, it's not yet the understanding of the truth of the characteristic, which is not self, which is conditioned to arise, to experience an object, and then gone. That
We've
can
lost
be.
you, Ajahn. We can't hear you now.
You cannot hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I could hear you, Ajahn. So
Yes, me
probably
too.
only
We
Sarah.
could hear
Sarah has a
from you.
problem.
I hear you too. So
Yeah, that's why we get used to the word, to the meaning of it, but not to the characteristic. But from hearing it again and again and again and again, and it can be conditioned to let go, even thinking about that as something in a day. That's why right understanding only can understand moment when it begins to develop the understanding of the truth of the nature which arises in false way. Otherwise, it's only the intellectual understanding. But from hearing again and again and again about this moment, what is there? That which is seen, but without that which can experience it, it cannot be seen at all. And this is so long time to become used to the understanding of the truth little by little. That's why talking about anything which can condition the understanding what is there now, like ignorance. See, what does it not understand? Right now, 3 moments after seeing it's there. So what doesn't it understand?
Ajahn, ignorance does not understand what appears now. It does not understand the seeing that's happening now, the hearing, the thinking,
Mhm.
all
This
what
is
is appearing now.
So we understand that what is meant by ignorance, not I, and it does not show up at all because it cannot understand what is there. But from hearing, there's so much in a day, in one's life, there can be the beginning of attending or being aware of that which is now appearing by conditions. So what we heard is to be conditioned to understand the truth of that which is now as it is, arising and falling away. It doesn't mean that we can experience it in this life. It depends on conditions. It can be, or it will not be, because not enough conditions for its arising. But the point is to understanding it enough so that it can show up or appear well to the moment when it's there. Exactly the same as usual. So the point is that understand whatever is there as no one and nothing at all. Only that. Just hearing more about the characteristic which is conditioned to arise and fall away. No matter what is there now, see, they do not show up at all. Feeling is there, memory is there, cetana, intention, that which coordinates the other reality, is there. Unknown. That's why we learn little by little to understand each one as it is, until it can condition the moment of understanding that which appears. Because even right now, there are seeing and hearing and thinking from moment to moment. It seems like they are together, but it's impossible. That's why there can be the beginning to understand when time comes, to any moment when it's there, even anger. At moment of anger, if there's no understanding, no hearing about it at all, no way to understand it as it's not me, it's conditioned, because before it arises, it hasn't arisen yet. But when time comes, at that moment, who can stop its arising? So it's object of study, of understanding, beginning to develop, to understand it as no one, from thinking, and then more than that, little by little. Otherwise, there's no considering about anything which is now appearing at all. It's only memory, remember the word about it. But what about the truth? It can be seen only, it can be heard and then gone. So what's the world? The world of nothing, permanent at all. Only at moment when it's there, and after that, it's not there anymore. But sanya, memory, marks and remember everything and think that it's still there, very, very permanent, never gone away at all. So wrong understanding is there as long as not enough condition to understand it and see the usefulness of learning about it, to understand it right now when it's there as it is, little by little. It appears well at moment of direct understanding with direct awareness, but not well enough. It has to be more than that. But the point is that if there is no understanding, this moment can be object of awareness and right understanding, then there's no condition for the development of understanding directly, just there as usual, but with some more understanding, little by little. No matter what we heard about, it develops the understanding of the truth of it cannot be taken for anything because it's not there anymore, only when it appears. And what is that meaning? The depth, the subtlety of the truth, it's not there at all anymore when it's gone or not seen or not experienced.
Ajahn, even taking anger for self, even that is object of understanding. To take I am angry, we don't change it, as Jonathan said. And I think it's important to realize that taking it for I'm angry, even that can be object of understanding.
Because we underestimate even the word that which experiences, see? That's why if its nature does not show up as only one at a time, the one which experiences, and that the other which cannot experience, no way to understand the word no self and no one. That's why we learn about there are two different kinds of reality right now. One experiences, otherwise nothing can appear at all, no world at all. But since now something all around, many things from moment to moment, because of that which arises and experiences it. But the characteristic which experience, the function of experiencing, the moment which arises and experience does not show up. That's why we just learn to understand little by little, even right now, seeing now or hearing now, depending on what is the object. But it's the object of understanding. Otherwise, there cannot be any understanding of whatever is there at all. Because what is there is only that which experiences and that which cannot experience. That's why right understanding begins to realize the first vipassana jhana, the characteristic which is the demarcation of the that which experience at that moment. Nothing appear at all, no world, no star, no sea, no one, no house, only that experiences. So no doubt about nothing but that which experiences. And it's right now, but it's covered up because right understanding is not enough to let go from understanding the point of listening, just to understand the true nature, the characteristic of that which no one knows. If Buddha didn't realize the truth, who knows? And if he didn't teach at all, who knows? But from his enlightenment, he taught about the reality which experiences. The word the reality means no one. A reality which is true and absolute reality because it's a reality now, experiences that which now appears. No matter its sound, at moment of sound appearing, there must be that which experiences it. At moment of thinking, there must be that which is the object of thinking. See, whatever appear in a day, no matter it is my sister or my friend or my things all around, there must be that which experiences from moment to moment, seeing and then thinking about it, and on from moment to moment. Become just one word of me, I, all the time, but actually no I at all. When there is a little more understanding of any one reality at a time, by nature, by conditions, like hardness now, it's there with some understanding of that as it's there. It's there, but it's not clear yet, but it's there, beginning to understand that which appears at that very moment. For example, anger, see, when it's there to be understood, to be studied, to know its nature, that is conditioned, and what degree it's there. No one can make it to be such, but by conditions it's there and then gone. That's why it takes quite a long time to listen and considering on and on by conditions. The most subtlety, profoundness of the truth of the absolute reality is that no one at all to try to do anything because they are their own characteristics which are conditioned by many conditions. That's why learning to understand deeper about the word can condition the moment of beginning to study to understand it by conditions. And by then one can see the development of understanding when it is moment of beginning to understand that which is now appearing. Only one and then gone. And it can be again by conditions. That's why the path leading to enlightenment is so very subtle. So it is the fourth Ariya Satya. No one knows that it's now a moment of understanding developing. Condition the next one, who knows when and how much will be, until it appears as it is.
Ajahn, I noticed that you stress a lot the experience, even more than the rupa. There must be a reason for that. I'm just considering and thinking about it.
We can talk about rupa as well. For example, what is seen? A rose. See? But it's not a rose in truth. It cannot be a rose. It's only that which can impinge on the ibis. This is the condition for right understanding to develop to the moment of direct understanding of that which is now appearing. But when it's not enough conditions to condition such moment yet, there can be moment of thinking or talking about it, that what is there appearing in a day is object of ignorance, not understanding the truth of anything as it is at all. That's why there can be moment of not underestimate the truth, the depth, the subtlety of what is now appearing. But it's not as anyone thinks, from birth to death, much more deeper than that, deep down from the skin, see, or what is behind the curtain. The curtain does not rest up yet, so what is there cannot show up as it is. So we are talking about the reality, not the rose, not the cup, not people, but just talking about the absolute truth, which is so real that Buddha had enlightened. It's so very, very difficult that after his enlightenment, what he said, Dhamma is so very, very subtle, very difficult to understand. But for anyone who can understand, he taught so that there can be understanding developing from hearing the truth and consider the depth of the subtlety of each reality as it is, just right now. See, from day to day, from moment to moment, many, many things. One is around Dhamma, but not.
Ajahn, your voice is not that clear.
You cannot hear me again?
We can hear you now.
Okay. Just talk about what is there now, the truth, so that they can bring about or lead to or condition moment of understanding it little by little until it's there at moment of touching, at moment of seeing by conditions. No thought about how many moments are there, how many rupas are there, because beyond expectation, no one can imagine how it's there from moment to moment. But the truth is that life exists only in a moment of a reality which experiences it. So there can be the understanding of that which experiences, where closing one's eyes, what is seen, many, many things not there at all. Only that which is there. And what is there while one closes one's eyes? Actually, it's there already. No need to look for it, but no awareness, no attention to it. For example, closing one's eyes, there is still that which experiences. It's there. And that is so true. But its characteristic or its nature does not show up to right understanding, even it's there. So one can understand what is meant by ignorance, conditioned sankhara, paticca samuppada, from moment to moment, from day to day. See, that's why understanding the truth of the way Dhammas is conditioned from moment to moment, from life to life, years and years ago, in the past and in the future. When there's no words of the Buddha, the enlightened one, how can there be the understanding of the truth? So hearing and considering is the most important to understand that ignorance is there all the time. At moment of not understanding what is there, as it is. But from hearing, there can be more understanding even about it until it shows up to panya, which let go attachment and ignorance from that which appears in a day. And before the ignorance with attachment to wrong understanding, which is the idea of self, can be eradicated completely, it has to be understanding of whatever is now appearing as it is. Otherwise, ignorance is there, attachment is there all the time. But when panya is strong enough, no matter what is the object, with right understanding and right awareness, no doubt about it. But it has to be after it appears as it is, to begin to understand the truth which has been experienced. Otherwise, it's just only thinking about it, no matter in what way, today on this subject or the other day about that, only thinking about what is there now. But it can be the beginning of understanding the truth, little by little. That's why right understanding what is there, see, only when it's there. But when there's no understanding at all, it's impossible to talk about the Buddha's word, just copy and understanding the word, because it can be understood what it's meant, each word, but the nature of it is there, underlined, like underground, see? That's why just hearing more, considering more, and understanding the difference between just try to be good, just try to let go. But when there's no understanding, it's impossible. Ignorance is there, like the dark curtain. So how can we can lift up the curtain to see what is there behind? Only hearing and considering, understanding more about that very moment, and then whatever would be next, depending on conditions, no disturb, because that's the way it is. That's the way ignorance has been accumulated quite a long, long time. Only when there's a little understanding from moment to moment, it can let go the ignorance and understand the difference between intellectual understanding about the seeing, the hearing now, and the moment when nothing is there, only that seeing, or only that hearing, or only that which experiences. Otherwise, we cannot understand the virtues of the Buddha, how great it is, how deep reality is, the truth of it is there, but no one knows because no understanding. Only understanding can understand the nature which arise because of considering carefully, wisely, beginning to understand the truth little by little. So we can talk about anything to understand it. No one, it's only that reality. No thing, it's only that hardness or softness or smell or taste or that which experience. Otherwise, how can it appear, no matter the taste, hardness, or the smell? But that which experiences can experience, but that which is sweet or hard cannot experience anything. And all are there by conditions, because no one but is there. How come? By conditions. And what are there? Only the absolute realities. For example, what condition seeing? See, seeing is there. No understanding or beginning to understand the truth that what is it? What is the word see or seeing? Everyone knows what is seen, but what is the seeing? And what is that which is seen? Not as one thought at all. So very minute and tiny, arising and falling away until the nimitta appears. And when there's no understanding, it takes nimitta for something permanent. Even it's not there, appearing. There is the idea of it's still there. But even it appears now, it arises and falls away unknowingly. But it can be directly experienced as much as nimitta by right understanding of that degree, by conditions. So the understanding of no self, no thing, will be more and more confidence, firmer and firmer, until it can let go the idea of self or thing, no matter what is there at any moment in daily life. Otherwise, wrong understanding is there. And understanding is different from ignorance, see? No one. And nobody can change the conditions for that reality of that degree. That's why it takes life and life and life, from life to understand what is there. At moment of seeing, hearing, no matter today, yesterday, or tomorrow. Not the same one, but same category. Never to return. When there is more understanding of never return, it can let go. What is so very important now is not important as it used to be. Like what was important yesterday is not as important as today, the new one. And we can say new thing, new life all the time. Everything is gone, never lasts, not worth to cling, because clinging to nothing is not there anymore. So at moment of thinking of something permanent is ignorance, wrong understanding. So no need to try to have less anger or whatever as I can do. It's impossible. That cannot lead to understanding the absolute truth of whatever is now as it is, unknown, until it's known.
And
So
Nina, I think one reason, sorry, Ajahn.
yes, please, Sarah.
I was just going to say one reason that the emphasis may be on the experiencing is because when we hear that it's hardness touched or it's just sound that is heard now, it may seem quite obvious, but it's still the idea of I'm experiencing hardness or I'm experiencing the sound. So it's not enough just to hear and consider about how it's just sound heard. There has to be the understanding that it's just hearing at this moment, or it's just the experiencing with anger. It's not I am angry. It's just that moment of experiencing. Otherwise, there's going to always be so much attachment to not having anger or having something else arising at this moment. So for some people, it's more obvious that it's just sound heard, but what about the experiencing, not I at all?
Very good, very good. Yeah, because as Ajahn said, what was important yesterday is not so important today. I found that very good reminder. It's all gone.
And excuse me, Ajahn and Nina, I'd just like to introduce a friend of ours, a friend of mine, Susan, who's just joined for the first time, and a friend in Hong Kong who is completely new, who is not familiar with any Pali terms. And she may have just read a little of what you've written, Nina, but she's just joined us and is new. Anything from what you just heard you would like to mention, Susan, or ask about?
Because even we are talking about that which is real now, that which experiences, and you talk about that which experiences so very important because it is the innermost. See, we begin to understand what is the innermost of all, citta, because it experiences. If there's no citta, nothing at all can be known at all. And we don't know either whether it's there or not. But since there is a reality which just arises to experience, each word should be considered. A reality means it's a real one. A reality arises and experiences, and that is the innermost. That's why all the world is under the citta. If it does not arise to experience, how can there be anything, Kun Sarah, Kun Nina, or me, or anyone, or flower, or mountain? See? That's why we can understand what is meant by each reality. It is the innermost of all. And then it's the manindriya, which is the, what you translate the indriya.
Leader, yeah. Yeah.
How many
Leading
indriyas are
faculty
there?
leader.
But how many altogether, which are indriyas are there? Not just one.
22.
See? So we understand each one as it is. Why? Because to understand that actually there is no one, only different realities. So now when we talk about the truth, we talk about the reality of what is there because it's so true and so real. No matter the newcomer or the one who heard a lot, but we are talking about that which is now appearing to understand what is there. Without that which can experience, can anything appear? Flower, friend, bed, anything at all. See? So that is a characteristic of a reality that no one can stop its arising as long as there are conditions for its arising. But we cannot know the condition for the arising of all that which experiences in a day. But we can understand from this moment, seeing. Without that, the eye base that we usually call the eye, can there be seeing? The blind, without that reality, the eye, no eye, can there be seeing? Impossible. Even that can be known little by little. But not only that, whatever arises is conditioned by its proper conditions for hearing, see? Because the sound is not that which can be seen. So it conditions the reality to experience sound, not able to experience the object which is seen. See, the truth is that no one there, but the realities are different in its own nature. But nothing arises, there's nothing. But who can stop the arising of that which is conditioned? It's there. Not just only this life, but many, many lives before, years and years ago. And as this life is like this, next life after this, because at this moment, that which experiences arises and falls away, different ones. So when this life, the last moment of the experiences of this life has fallen away, it conditions the next experience, next being, next personality, next life, instantly. Or we can say that each moment is next life. Why not? Because it's not the same one, not the last one. But we don't call it death yet, because the personality, the being is just the same from being born up to this moment and to the end by conditions. That's why we learn about conditions for everything which is there as conditioned realities. For example, even that which is seen, different colors, there must be conditions for it to be such different too. Not to be sweet, but to be seen. So how can there be any permanent reality? The first moment in life is not the second moment, third moment, until this moment. But a moment is just a moment. How can it be not a moment? So to learn the truth is to learn to understand what is there now as it is. To have less ignorance why there is anger of such degrees or attachment of different degrees or right understanding of different degrees or by conditions. To understand the truth that actually what we take for something is not as it is, because just hardness cannot be a table or a chair, because hardness is hard no matter where it is, when it is, it's there. Just arise to be hard and then gone. Who knows? What that is the meaning of enlightenment, the Buddha, the great understanding of the truth. So we just talk about the truth, no matter what we call it, what kind of religion, or whether it is Buddhism or whatever. We just talk about the truth. And it does not belong to anyone. But without the great wisdom of the one who enlightened, nobody knows about the truth of this very moment at all. Beyond expectation of each reality.
And Ajahn, I would like to have one question thing. I just have it. Like every reality that arises, it cannot arise without condition. So for every reality, no matter what kind, there has to be condition for it. And
Yes.
to not let people
So,
misled that something that arises and will be there forever. So when the condition that fallen away, condition that Dhamma to arise fallen away, that Dhamma that arise because of that condition also have to fallen away. Now my question is like Rupa, Rupa that Rupa, there are four bases that Rupa can arise, whether to Chitta, Kamma, Uttu, or Ahara. Now my question is that if the Rupa that arise from Chitta as a base, Chitta is faster than Rupa 17 moments, means if Chitta arise and fallen away, and Rupa that is arises because of Chitta that is it is based, but I don't understand. Chitta already fallen, and how can Rupa is there? Because condition for if condition for the reality fallen away, that reality have to also fallen away. So I'm not sure.
Haji, just before you go on, I just want to explain a few of the terms to Susan or any newcomers, otherwise they're completely lost. So we learn that there are two kinds of realities in life, those realities that can experience an object, such as seeing or hearing or thinking. And when you hear the word chitta, it's referring to consciousness or the chief in experiencing. So seeing is a chitta, hearing is a chitta, thinking is a chitta. So these are realities that experience an object. We usually think there's a self, someone who experiences, but what we learn is actually at a moment of seeing, it's just seeing itself which sees. At the moment of hearing, it's just hearing itself that hears. So this is chitta. And when Ajahn earlier was talking about innermost, she was pointing to these chittas, these moments of experience which experience the object. And just now, Haji, our friend, was referring to rupas. Rupas are those realities that don't experience anything. So at the moment of hearing sound, hearing is the chitta, and it's accompanied by other mental factors. And rupa is the sound, that reality that doesn't experience anything, doesn't know anything. It's just that which is heard. If you use terms, it's helpful to just give at the first time just a brief explanation. Otherwise, people who are new just don't follow anything.
But
Sorry,
Thank you.
No, no
I'll
problem.
just say we can just think of consciousness which experiences, and there are other realities which cannot experience. You can think of them as material, but there's a collective term. Rupa is a collective term for all of them. So whether it's sound or hardness or whatever, there's that one term that covers them all. But we don't need to learn the Pali terms. We try and use ordinary language terms as far as possible.
Thank you, thank you. I'm a yoga teacher, so through yoga teacher training, we do some studies of the Patanjali Sutra. So I have some understanding of some words. So chitta, I do know, but rupa is the first time I've come across. So thank you for sharing.
yes, chi, it's a chi, yes.
Yeah, and I'll just a word of caution. There are lots of common terms, but the meanings are not always the same.
Yeah, maybe Thanachan or Sarah or John would like to say, or anyone.
Would you like to just summarize your question again, Haji?
See, like Dhamma, or all Dhamma that arise has to have its condition to arise, right? And for not to be misled that something arise and would be there forever, Buddha say that when whatever reality that arise because of whatever condition, if that condition fallen away, that reality has to also fallen away because the condition is already end for it to be. Now, rupa is reality that does not experience. It has it can arise by four, what to say, base, right?
Conditions.
For like rupa that arise from utu mean the heat and cold. Rupa that arise from ahara is the food, right? Am I correct? I'm using this word.
Nutriment.
Okay. And the rupa that arise from kama, and then a rupa that arise from chitta is consciousness. So from Buddha enlightenment, like consciousness and mental factors that are nama, those reality which experience arising and fallen, equal to 17 moment of nama is equal to 1 moment of rupa that arising and fallen. And when the rupa that arise from Chitta as its base. When Chitta arises, Chitta had to fallen first, but that Rupa hasn't yet fallen. But I'm confused that if the condition for that Rupa, that is Chitta, is already fallen, how can Rupa is still there? So I'm a bit confused with this.
Because the rupa, for example, the visible object, that which is seen, it arises by its own conditions, like you say. If it's outside the body, it must be by temperature. If it's inside the body, from any of those four conditions, it arises by its conditions. And when there is no condition for visible object to arise, when it's not conditioned by temperature, for example, it doesn't arise. So it arises by its condition and falls away. And the seeing consciousness arises by its conditions. One of them is the visible object has to be there. The eye sense which the visible object has impinged on has to be there. The karma in the past has to have conditioned it. If there were not those conditions, seeing could not arise. And having arisen, it has to fall away instantly. The fact that the rupas last longer is not important.
And I think the point is that you're asking about when the material rupa is conditioned by a momentary consciousness, which is shorter than that. Well, I think the answer is simply that once a rupa such as sound is conditioned to arise, it can't fall away until because it normally lasts whatever period. And so there's no there's nothing odd about that. Just because what the condition for it to arise is no longer there doesn't mean it falls away short of its normal span.
Yeah, but in it seems like it contradicts because if whatever condition, if condition already fallen means ended, that Dhamma that arises by that condition also have to fallen. So
no, it can be interpreted this way, that once the chitta has fallen, the rupa has to also fall away.
That's what I was thinking, because
so it has to fall away, but it does not have to mean that it has to fall away at the same time.
Oh, hard to understand.
Like the temperature, for example, that conditions the sound. The temperature that conditioned the sound may have fallen away, but the sound still has to last for its length before it falls away. Or the sound that's conditioned by chitta, the chitta conditions it and the chitta falls away, but that sound still has to last for the span of a rupa before it falls away.
Ajahn,
Yes, Ajahn.
Can every chitta condition rupa?
Not all.
See? And can chitta fall away before its length?
No.
So no doubt?
Again, please, what doubt, Ajahn?
I think Ajahn is asking you, chitta has to fall away, rise and fall away at the same rate. It cannot fall faster or longer, right?
Yeah.
So rupa also cannot fall faster or longer than rupa. Rise and fall faster and longer.
Okay.
How long each rupa lasts, if we don't talk about the special rupas, the Kaya Vinyati and Vaci Vinyati, that nobody knows about that yet. So we just talk about ordinary way it is. How long will a rupa last? Can you know?
One moment of male is fast, is so fast, but from what we learned through Buddha enlightenment, and only he knows 17 moments of consciousness equal to 1 moment.
Can it be shorter or longer?
No.
That's why when Chitta condition arupa, no matter when that particular Chitta has fallen away, the Rupa still go on until it falls away. 17 moments of Chitta arising and falling away. One Rupa arises and falls away. That's all.
Thank you, Ajahn.
That's why we don't know many things, so many subtle, but we learn to understand little by little. But it cannot be changed at all because it's the absolute truth. The truth is so true that no one can change it. That's why thinking, considering whether what is heard is true or not, Chitta arises and falls away faster than Rupa. The nature of Rupa, it cannot experience anything at all, no matter it's inside, outside, or whatever, it's there. And only that which experiences is there. But there are so many qualities of the reality which experiences. That's why we learn to understand the difference between the reality which experiences, that they are different. The one which is not the other at all, of the other experiencing, is that which is the chief of experiencing. And we call it seeing because it's the moment of experience or know what is there, which is seen. And at moment of hearing, what is there? At moment when sound is heard, there must be that which knows or experience that very object, that sound, only that, not the other one at all, see? So without that which arises and experience, there cannot be anything appearing at all. And not every Chitta condition Rupa. That's why we learn more from the enlightenment of the Buddha. That is so true because of its nature. The moment of birth is different from other moment, and so on. From moment to moment, Buddha taught about the truth of everything there. So we learn to listen, considering, until there can be more confidence that the nature of that which is now appearing is like that which we have heard. But it's not yet direct experience until Panya is strong enough, keen enough to let go attachment, which hinder the truth, because it is attached to the object. So how can there be the understanding of the moment which has gone, as it's not there anymore, like now? That's why just learn to understand the truth deeper, to understand the nature that it's not there anymore. Very short, no matter it's the reality which experiences or that which cannot experience. Not last as we think that it's still there. Nothing now appears not there anymore. To let go the idea of I or anything permanent. Because they are so very short, temporarily, beyond expectation. If this truth does not reveal or open up or show up, how can there be the letting go of the idea of self or thing permanent?
So, Susan, this is the reason, the point of talking about these different realities, because we're so used to thinking there is an I or a self that can control life or make anger go away or experience this or that. But what we learn through the Buddha's teachings is that there are just these different realities which experience an object, the chittas and the cetasikas, the mental factors, and the rupas which are experienced. And so this moment of seeing, in truth, it's just seeing which sees, and it arises by its own conditions, not by an I or a self that can make it see or stop it seeing. So we live in a fantasy that there's an I that can control life or make things the way we would like. But we learn that whatever arises is just a reality that is conditioned and falls away instantly when it's time for it to fall away. Some realities last a little longer than others, but they all fall away instantly. And this is the meaning of dukkha, that which arises falls away and is not in anyone's control. And therefore it's dukkha, unsatisfactory, not worth clinging to. And the cause of all problems in life is the clinging, the attachment to that which is impermanent and not self. But unless we study or consider more about what is the reality in life now, as opposed to what is the idea or the fantasy in life, nothing can be known about the truth at this moment. For example, right now, we have the idea that I can see a table or a computer, but it's just thinking, because actually there's just a moment of seeing which sees what is visible, and instantly there's thinking about table or computer or I that experiences. So it's quite deep and quite subtle. Do you have any questions or anything you would like to bring up from your own study or interest about the truth of life or the Buddha's teachings?
Yeah, the philosophy of that is like, have to wrap the head around the idea of what is seen is just that moment and what is truth. I think that's part of the reason I feel that Buddhist philosophy is it really enhances the deeper meaning of life into a deep understanding of, who we are, why we are here, and so I'm just starting to revisit, and the idea of attachment is and letting go of attachment is something that is a energy that needs a lot of work on to understand, like how to release the attachment of things. Yeah, so slowly.
Susan, I'm sorry for interruption, but just now you like referring Buddha as philosophy, and maybe Buddhism is that Buddha enlightenment, the truth of the reality, that they are just Dhamma and all that. And we understand according to how it is, not that someone try to make all like it's not a philosophy, but it is a reality which no one else can be known if there was no his enlightenment.
I think
And
what
I think-
Haji is saying, in other words, is that rather than thinking that it's a philosophy, and the difficulty is right there. If it was just a philosophy, it would be easy. We all become enlightened. But because it's not philosophy, and because the Dhamma is deep in the sense that it's now and it's hard to see, and it's all about now, and we are not in the habit of thinking or even paying attention to the reality now, but rather lost in thoughts, lost in ideas about the past, the future, and even the present, and hence the idea of philosophy, that it's difficult. It's not because it's a difficult philosophy, it's because the reality is difficult to see, and it's right here, right now. It's all about what's happening right here, seeing now, hearing now, smelling, thinking, and that's what the Buddha's teachings is about.
His enlightenment, all the Dhamma and all the reason for each Dhamma, that if there was no Buddha enlightenment, there would not even to be a chance to hear even the word Dhamma, not the definition that is true, but all things are no self, no one. They are just Dhamma that has its own characteristic, arises from condition and never and fallen away, never to return. Like seeing, if all of us maybe here never who have heard Buddha, we would not know the reality of seeing, that it is a seeing. We thought it's I who see. It's not that seeing as seeing, and seeing is no one. Seeing is a particular Dhamma that can experience visible object. So, and if Buddha did enlightenment, we think that, oh, what is seen is flower, table, so many things, and people, and like that. But all are thinking, but there has to be a reality which is visible object, and then there's thinking later of what is seen. So there are people or table and computer and all.
And Susan, you mentioned letting go, and I think this is quite an interesting topic, and I'm sure Ajahn will be able to speak further on it. But I think you said that letting go needs a lot of working on. Well, in a sense, we would say there's a slight contradiction in the idea of working on letting go. I know what you mean, but it's a very difficult area because actually, and this is to introduce something I think we haven't perhaps mentioned to date, that there are moments of consciousness that we have during the day can be considered as either wholesome moments or unwholesome moments. And of course, there are other moments that are result of past karma, but let's just stick to the wholesome and unwholesome moments of consciousness. So letting go in its truest sense is a moment of wholesome consciousness, because at that moment when the consciousness is wholesome, there's no clinging to anything just for that moment. But as we've been saying, all of these realities, which consciousness is one kind of reality, arise by conditions. And so the idea that those conditions can somehow be manipulated to be wholesome by working on it or trying to have it arise is a trap, we would say. And we come to understand that there are certain factors that may be helpful in conditioning the arising of wholesome consciousness, but for the most part of the day it's unwholesome. And so we come to learn about what those factors are. And that's another reason why we discuss realities and the present moment, because most of the day we have no idea about the present moment and the reality of the present moment. And just finally, a lot of people have the idea of Buddhism that it's all about inward-looking attention and not paying attention to the outer world. And that's not really the case, because wholesome consciousness, as I just said, arises by conditions. And that can be, there can be awareness and understanding. And if they arise naturally. There doesn't have to be an inward looking in order for awareness and understanding of the present moment reality to arise. And that reality may be something to do with one's own consciousness, but it could equally be the sound or the visible object that is not part of, it's an outside object. So we don't say that one kind of object, the understanding of one kind of reality is worth more than the understanding of another kind of reality.
Shall we consider what's the meaning of letting go? Letting go of what? Otherwise, we don't know what we're talking about. In Thai, I would say, we just talk without understanding of anything we're talking about. So for the word letting go, what's the meaning? And letting go of what? Should we consider?
letting go of judgment.
Pardon? Letting go
Letting
of what?
go of judgment, of attachment, attachment to like everything in life, to be okay, not to be attached.
And how can be letting go? What's the way to let go? Just letting go. Cannot let go. But what is that which should be letting go of? Right now, is there anything to let go? Just now. Life is in a moment, only a moment. It arises and falls away in split seconds, each moment. So letting go of what? Otherwise, there cannot be letting go, because not understanding what is that to let go. So it's just the word. No moment of letting go, because we don't really know what is that which should be let go.
Yeah.
So first of all, we should know what should be let go. And what's the way to let go? It just let go now. It's impossible. Let go what now?
Susan, I thinkท่านอาจารย์may ask, maybe we would like to answer.
Sorry, I missed that. Sorry, can you say again?
Yes.
ท่านอาจารย์ was asking you about letting go. So would you like to have any reply?
Like you mentioned attachment and judgment to be let go of, but like attachment now, who or what or how lets go of attachment now? Because just wishing to let go of attachment, because we know in theory it causes a lot of disturbance and difficult, but who or what or how is attachment let go of now? Just by wanting it, because just by wanting it is more attachment. So it's there has to be the understanding of what is to be let go of and how or who or what lets go. Do you have any ideas?
So I guess I mean like it so consciousness to basically just to be at peace, to not to attach to things, to people, and to just be in a state of calmness and peace. So with the yoga practice, in teaching the physical asana, we always sort of emphasize of being present in the moment, so that we can be present in order to go into a deeper space of connecting with the physical body, and then to basically go beyond that, to reach into a deeper space of the inner self. And through my learnings, one expression always resonates with me is the chitti-vritti. Yoga is the practice of chitti-vritti nirodha, which is to still the mind. So I guess when I'm saying the letting go, is basically just to be present at every moment and to be okay with whatever the moment happens. And just to, of course, that's easier said than done, but just to be present with the moment and not to attach judgments, not to attach too much meaning to every moment, and not to complicate life.
You just talk about yoga. I would like to understand what yoga is.
So I have a very, very narrow understanding, because I basically do the asana, and I teach asana pranayama, and so yoga, in my learnings, is yoke, union of the body and the mind. And so through the practice of asana, we connect our body to our breath, to our mind, to the inner space of consciousness, of deeper understanding of the body and the mind.
Is there consciousness now?
Consciousness is always present, right? Even if we're conscious about it or not.
Is the consciousness the attachment?
The consciousness is just what is, right?
So what is the difference between attachment and consciousness?
Attachment is we're giving meaning to that word.
What is consciousness and what is attachment? They are real, right? But different. So what is to be letting go of? If someone would say letting go, but there's no understanding, letting go of what? So how can that be letting go? And what is letting go and not letting go? See, they are real, but they are different. One is attachment and the other is letting go of attachment. So is the attachment now to be letting go of? If there is no attachment now, it's useless to letting go because it's not there. But is there now attachment to be letting go of? And this is not just a word, but it's real. The understanding of the truth of this moment. Is there attachment now to letting go? And how can there be moment of letting go of what? Attachment to that which is now appearing. And what can let go? The self, impossible, because it clings to the idea of I there. As long as there is I, there cannot be the understanding of the truth of that actually what we take for I is this moment of seeing, hearing, thinking, hardness, softness of the body. See, without all these reality, what can be taken for I when there's nothing arising at all? So it's not just the phrase letting go, but that should be the understanding of each word. Letting go of what and how to letting go and what can let go. Not I, because actually seeing is conditioned to arise to see, only seeing and then gone completely, never to return at all. It cannot be taken for I because it's conditioned to arise to see and then gone. Then it's completely gone, absolutely gone. Where's the I? Because the moment of seeing is a reality which is experiencing that which is seen, only that moment, and then gone. Let go the wrong understanding and attachment to that as something. That which is seen is something, and the seeing is I all the time, because not understanding the reality which is conditioned to arise just to see, not to hear, not to touch, but just to see, and then gone. And this is true, so true in one's life from moment to moment. Ignorance is there, not experiencing the arising and falling away of the reality which is conditioned to arise and then fall away. So that is the idea of I all the time, not understanding the truth that it's there, no more of that which is there. Even right now, each moment is gone, completely letting go, attachment to take it for I or something permanent. Otherwise, what else is to be object of letting go? Is there I or no I, but there are different realities from different conditions arising and falling away in split seconds. And that can be realized only when Panya developed high enough to let go attachment to that which is there, which hinder the truth of that which now arises and falls away. Pleasant feeling is only very short. Whatever arises falls away in split seconds. Unpleasant feeling so short. Whatever arises falls away in split seconds. No one can make it stay longer than that. Because actually, what is there is conditioned. Without its proper condition, that cannot arise at all. And this is the truth from moment of birth, who condition or who make birth moment to arise. And what condition different birth, consciousness, not the same. The birth of ant, the birth of human being, the birth of the wise one and the foolish one, all by conditions.
Susan, is like before maybe anyone or have heard the Dhamma, they may be thinking that there is I or there is me or you. So I would like to ask, is there Susan really Susan, or is just reality, like thinking also is a reality that arises by a condition? If there was not hearing of Dhamma, if there was not Buddha enlightenment, none of this can be known, that seeing as a seeing we take as I who see, I who hear, I who smell, I who think. And we say that me who thinking, and there are mental factors also another reality, like for example, feeling, right? But it's taken as my feeling or feeling as someone, me who feel. When I angry, so I'm who anger. When I'm happy, I'm sad, but actually they are reality which are no one, and they are not belong to anyone, and they are uncontrollable. No one can make things to arise. If before we hear Dhamma, we may think that we can do, oh, I'm the one who's walking, I'm the one who's lifting the phone, or I'm the one who's scratching the head, like for example. But that are all just thinking, right? Even to walk also, no, not you, or it's not anyone who think, it's reality. So yeah, so if before, so would you like to have any question?
So I guess the idea of letting go is already attaching to the idea of me. I have to let go. So yeah, so I understand that yeah, the truth every moment just comes and goes, and the conditions make what is. And so hence the concept of letting go is already an idea where I attach myself to a reality where so I understand. Yeah, I understand
So,
that.
and it's attachment also, it's not you and all that, but it's very hard. Like Dhamma is not easy at all. Like even ignorance also, not anyone, or not my ignorance, not Susan, or me, or Kun Sarah, or Kun John, or Thanachan, but it's just ultimate reality. This is what Buddha enlightenment. If his enlightenment that everything are Dhamma, all are Dhamma, which has its own characteristic. No one can change. It has its own characteristic, perform its function, and arise by its proper condition. And when there's condition for it to arise, no one can stop. No one can make anything or do or that we can do or something. There's no me or you or anyone. And the idea of doing is nothing can be done actually. Everything arises by condition, no selection, no choice, uncontrollable.
And
But
just to get back to something I mentioned earlier, when there's wholesome moment of consciousness, there's no attachment. There is letting go at that moment because attachment is absent. So there cannot be unwholesome mental states arising with wholesome ones together. So that's why one of the things we talk about is the development of the different kinds of wholesome consciousness. And there are different levels of wholesomeness, the highest of which, of course, is awareness and understanding. But we need to come to know what is to be the object of understanding, just like Ajahn was asking, what is it that's let go of? We have to consider more deeply what these different realities are, because it's only at the present moment, for example, that there can be direct understanding of anything, right? One cannot directly understand the past or the future, only the reality of the present moment. And so we do talk about the different realities that appear, that may be appearing at the present moment, because again, if there is attachment, it's to those realities that there will be attachment. And there are different kinds and levels of attachment also. For example, there can be attachment to the sound or what is seen at the present moment, but there can also be attachment to the hearing, to the experiencing of the sound or the visible object. And they're both attachment, but different kinds of object. And then there can be attachment just to living, being alive, to being in this existence, which is perhaps a more subtle kind of attachment that we're probably not very often aware of, even at a conventional level I'm talking now. There's a lot to be considered before there can be the development of wholesome kinds of consciousness that will contribute to letting go, or will develop more detachment from the reality, the present, what is appearing at the present moment.
In brief, when
sorry.
there's the idea that I can let go, it's the wrong understanding of self that can do something, and clinging is there unseen. But at moments, Ajahn was talking about panya, this is right understanding, at moments of understanding of the reality at this moment, at that moment of understanding, it is beginning to let go of that wrong idea of someone or something lasting for a moment. So without thinking of letting go, the understanding performs that function of beginning to let go of that clinging to the deep-rooted idea of self. I'm just wondering, Nina, I mentioned to Susan that Nina's our friend who wrote the book that I mentioned to you. I don't know if you have anything you would like to say to Susan, Nina?
About what? What is the question?
About letting go or understanding realities, anything?
Yes, if one starts, even begin to understand that it is only a nama or a rupa, and now I'm using terms for Susan, but I think she knows some terms, no? A mental phenomenon or physical phenomenon, only that, and that is nobody can make it arise. It's already a beginning of letting go. To understand, it is understanding that should be emphasized, as Ajahn often mentions. Understand is just a phenomenon like anger. I don't like to be angry, but anger arises anyway. So we can all experience that. And why? Because we understand there are conditions beyond control. And that is a beginning of letting go of the idea that it is a self.
So in truth, is there, Susan? I would like to ask Susan, what do you think?
So, I wanted to ask actually the word dharma that you used just now. Is it like a predestined situation, dharma?
There are different meanings of Dharma, and one of the meanings is that the teaching of the Buddha, or the law of the way things are in truth and reality, the whole description of what we've been talking about collectively is referred to as the Dhamma. But then we use the term to refer to realities also. So Dhammas, conditioned Dhammas, is another way of referring to the realities of the present moment. So I'm not sure what context you were picking up on, but there are those two main meanings of the word Dhamma.
So in this sense, when we're talking about the truth, seeing now is Dhamma because it's a reality, but computer or table is an idea, a concept. So it's not a Dhamma, it's not a reality. Sound that is heard is a Dhamma because at this moment it is sound, the reality that is heard.
Now?
But
See?
the
What is
birds
there now?
or the
Can you
traffic
hear me?
noise are ideas that are thought about. So these are not dhammas or realities. So we learn to distinguish what are the realities, the different namas and rupas, the citas, the cetasikas and rupas are realities, and that which is just thought about or imagined, like what is seen now is just that which is visible. But so quickly there's an idea of Sarah or Susan or different friends, this is thinking about ideas. So the thinking is real, it's Dhamma, but the ideas that are thought about are not Dhammas, not realities. So this is the way that it was being referred to.
Yes. Okay.
Dhamma, absolute reality. So thinking also we take for I thinking, or Susan is thinking, or Harji is thinking, or Sarah is thinking. But thinking is thinking. Thinking is nobody. Whether it's an elephant thinking, or me thinking, human, or what, or whoever, thinking is an reality. Thinking is not anyone. Dhamma are not anyone, person, animal, and all that. But that is, even the clinging is also a reality, and there's ignorance also is a reality, but not my ignorance or me who is ignorance. And ignorance does not belong to anyone, it's there because it's been accumulated. So they are in everyday life, they're seeing, hearing, smelling, and thinking, and all that, right? So
And just
they
to,
are, yes.
sorry, go on. And just to explain a bit further, because in her opening remarks, Ajahn said, we think we see a
Yes.
rose, but in reality, no rose. And you may have wondered how that's to be understood. And so it comes back to what we've been talking about, that the reality is what is appearing at the present moment. So when we think we see a rose,
Just
there
talk
is...
about now.
Go ahead, Ajahn.
John, I
Okay.
think
Just
your signal is not that good.
just talk about now. See, now, not at the moment at all. There is seeing, right? No matter we use any word at all. No one can change that moment which sees to be other thing. Because at that moment, what is real? Seeing is there so real, nothing which is of that not real at that very moment. So seeing so real, can anyone say that it's not real? Impossible. And what is real? Whatever is real, seeing is real at moment of seeing, hearing is real at moment of hearing, sound is real at moment when it's there as the object of hearing, and that which is seen is there. Nobody can drive it away, but it is there instantly by conditions to be there, to be object of seeing. Are these moments real? And just the word we use Dhamma for anything which is real. And we don't have to use even the word Dhamma, it's real. And what is real? And we use the word for whatever, no matter how many things in a day, in life, what is real is real. So what is real is Dhamma. That is the definition, the truth of the word we use. When we use the word Dhamma, we mean only that which is real because it is there as it is. Seeing cannot be other thing. So seeing is a Dhamma, a reality, a real thing or whatever you use, which just arises to see. What is real is Dhamma. It has its own characteristic. It arises and falls away. So all conditioned Dhamma arises and falls away. So we begin to understand the absolute meaning of Dhamma, that which is real. It has its own characteristic that can be known as it's real. Seeing sees, it can be known that it's real because it arises to see. Hearing is real because it arises to hear, and that is what we call hearing. So what is real is Dhamma. Seeing is Dhamma, hearing is Dhamma. Whatever has its characteristic appearing is Dhamma. No doubt about the teachings of the Buddha about all Dhammas, because they are so real. When nothing is there at all, how can we talk about it? But when it's there, what is the reality, the truth of it? That does not appear as it is at all. That's why it needs the words of the enlightened one to carefully listen and consider, to begin to understand the truth that actually what is there is real. No one can make it arise. It's conditioned to arise and then fall away. That's why no one at all, no permanent being at all. Only that which is conditioned to arise and then fall away instantly. Is that not true? Because of the rapidity of the succession of the arising and falling away of all dhammas, different moments, different thing, condition, different shape and form, to be remembered as something. The idea of something is there. And that which experiences, when there's no understanding of that which arises to experience, it's me, because it experiences just like now. I see, but actually, seeing is not I. I hear, actually, hearing is not I. So Dhamma is that which is real, no matter we use the word Dhamma or not, but it's real. We can use different words when one can understand that it's there, the truth, a reality, absolute reality. That's why we begin to understand what's meant by Dhamma. Even we don't use that word, we can change it to other word, but the meaning is there. We can use that meaning in Pali, in Thai, in Chinese, any language, but it means that which is real, Dhamma. The word that Buddha taught in the old days for those who can understand the teachings in that language. Is the Dhamma now? See, no doubt, when there is the understanding that what is there has its own characteristic, so real, we cannot say that there is no hearing at moment of hearing. There cannot be visible object at moment of seeing. It's impossible, because without seeing, that which is what we call visible object cannot be seen, because it can be object of that which can experience it, because there is the eyes as one condition for its arising, to experience that which impinge on the eye only. All adhammas, uncontrollable, anatta. That's why when we talk about anatta, we mean that it's that which is real, which is not anyone at all. It's just conditioned to arise and fall away. And there are many dhammas too. And that which is there is so short, never to arise again, never to appear again. But without understanding it, condition, attachment, taking it for something so permanent.
It is hard Dhamma, but Panya gradually develop. And what I was going to add, sorry, letting go is again, maybe you may think that, oh, I have to try something and all that. It's not a matter of trying or to do. It's just Dhamma that arises, that perform its functions. So when a little bit of understanding understand, so it let go little bit of ignorance that is there. It's not that anyone to do, there's nothing to do and all that. Everything happen its own way, perform its function.
Alan or Maeve or anyone else, do you have anything you'd like to add, or any topic you want to bring up, as we don't have a lot of time left?
Yes, Sarah.
Go ahead, Maeve.
It's actually a question for Ajahn, and I think it probably has some bearing on what we've been discussing, insofar as it's about the connection between restraint and letting go, or as a result of the understanding that develops when there is less attachment. When Ajahn, hello, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Ajahn, when the Buddha advised that the restraint of the senses and what appears through mind door by way of of not becoming attached to the objects that arise. I was wondering what the relationship was between that restraint that he is encouraging and the development of understanding.
Okay, there is sound, different sound, high and low, for example, but there can be make it known as what it's meant, right? For example, seeing. Seeing, it's just a sound, but when it's heard, and everyone who studied the same race or understand the same language can know that it means now that which sees is seeing, right? What doorway? See, one doorway is so very, very short. Even the object lasts for 17 moments, but when it appears as object, not at 17, less than that. And how fast it is. And now, who can distinguish between the eye door and the mind door? Not at all. So it's not a matter of knowing now, is it mind door or the sense door, but the object which is experienced through sense door is the object of mind door after many moments of bhavanga in between. This is the way. The moment the process of seeing is there, to be conditioned for the mind door process to experience the same object until the moment of death, because death can arise after the sense door process, not to mind door process possible. That's why many mythic things we don't know at all, because they do not show up as this is this arising and falling away, but the rapidity of the succession of that which experiences, they are the reality which experiences, but the object is different because of the shortness of whatever is conditioned to arise has to fall away instantly. That's why it doesn't matter at all whether now who can pinpoint the moment of sense doorway and mind door. But at moment of thinking, even there's no seeing at all, there can be thinking of that which is seen or that which is heard. So we can understand that the difference between the sense door and the mind door. And when it appears, it's impossible for any reality to just appear only one. I mean, one thing or one that, but it falls away instantly. So what appears, even seeing right now, as the nimitta of seeing, while there are many mind processes in between after Bhavanga, many moments of Bhavanga, this is the way how ignorance cannot understand the truth of it. It has to be the enlightened moment of the Buddha who experienced the truth of our absolute realities. Nobody can change, or it cannot be taken for anything permanent at all. The word of nothing, sunyata and anatta. That's why we learn to understand that there are not only the five sense door, but there is also mind door. And what citta can experience the object of mind door, and what citta can experience only the object of five sense door. That's all. To understand that actually any moment cannot be taken for self at all. They are different moments by different conditions, the way it is from moment to moment. Now, what doorway?
There's so many doorways. I'm actually wondering, Ajahn, also as you emphasize how rapid the realities fall away. And you say it doesn't matter it doesn't matter whether it's seeing or hearing. Is it the fact that each reality that appears is actually different to the one that appeared before and the one that will appear afterwards, and that I suppose whatever level of understanding
The
grasps
truth is
that,
that now that which is seen is different or not.
well, what that which is seeing is different to the experience of hardness or
Yeah,
warmth
but
or
at
whatever.
that very moment of seeing, we didn't talk about the other doorway, hardness, or anything else. Just at this moment, when the eyes are open, that which is seen, are they different or the same? What is seen now?
Each moment of seeing is the same.
What is seen? What is that which is seen? Are there many things different or same?
The
What?
same.
Please tell me what is seen now.
Well, if I think about it, then I see people.
Not at all. Just what is seen. See, to be so truthful, what is seen, the truth of the rapidity, we can imagine. Because what is seen, is it many things or one thing, no difference at all, or what?
Hmm.
I'm standing close to the table and there are so many things there. See, all at once. How come? How rapidity, just one moment succeeds one moment and another moment so very rapidly. So everything is seen. And even so, there are also many things which is not seen, even it's seen, no thought about it at all. The doorknob and so on, the pin, small pin on the table. See, when one is not asked what is there might be no idea about that at all. So each moment is so very rapid from one doorway to another doorway with Bhavanga in between. That's why seeing is not hearing. Without Bhavanga, how it can be? There must be Bhavanga in between to separate, distinguish between seeing and hearing. What are there at moment of that which is not seeing and that which is not hearing? Many, many things are there. That's what Buddha had enlightened and taught about the truth of it. So what is seen in one's life is only what appears through the five doorways and mind door, which experience the same object as the five sensor. That's why it cannot be told this moment whether what moment is the mind door process or the sensor process, because the object is the same. See, even they are different because the sensor is different from the minder, but the differences of the two cannot be known at all because of the rapidity. It seems the same, not just one tiny visible object only, no shape, no form, but it appears as many things around. So one cannot imagine how fast reality arising and falling away. But the life which is now, we can see that they are different because what is seen, some is the leaf and some is the flower and some is the pin and some is the box. See, all at once. How come? Of ignorance, not understanding the truth, which if that is not let go yet, no understanding of the nature of that which arises and falls away. Otherwise, how can Buddha taught about whatever is there is risen and fallen away by conditions? And he taught about the details of each reality. How come to be conditions in such moment? Karma, condition what? At what moment, what kind of citta as the result, and so on. all are in this life, any life, no matter previous life, long, long time ago, past life and future life, exactly as he taught from his enlightenment. Seeing is seeing, no matter when and where it arises. And actually, where is the seeing? See, so many things unknown until you study carefully about the teachings to understand it. Actually, we do not live in the world of truth, but we live in the world of dream, broken world, breaking all the time, just dream about. But when one wakes up, there's nothing in the dream at all. Just like now, so many things in the dream, taking whatever appears as so permanent, I and my friend and on, everything. But actually, while one is fast asleep, just tonight, where are those which we have experienced? Why can't it appear as now? Not conditions for it to arise, to experience through the sense door and mind door. That's why the reality which arises as an experience are so many, many different at moment of waking up and moment of fast sleep, moment of thinking, moment of pain, bodily painful feeling, and so on, in a day by conditions unknown because of the succession of the different realities, condition many ideas and things and people. So we have to study what is true, what is the absolute truth, what is there. Is it still there? Or no more at all? Never be the same, never to arise again. Sunyata, anatta, no thing, no one, but the succession of that which arises and falls away, condition the permanent world, permanent being, cat, dog, and so on, snake, food, everything. Like dream world, it's that which is seen, but dream about as bird, cat, food, clothes, and so on. So at this moment, it's not just thinking about the sensor and the mind, but to begin to understand the nature of experiencing, which arises and see what is meant by experiences. It knows what is that which is there at moment of seeing, like the sound, the voice. What is there at moment of what we call hearing? There must be a reality which can experience, can know that characteristic which appears as sound, as smell, as hardness, and so on. From birth to death, it's there, arising and falling away, never to return, not the same one at all. What about eons and eons ago? What had we lived before as different personality, different being? Can be elephant or snake or deva. See, never be again, never be the same, not at all. If
I think today is time already, so thank you, Thanachan.
Maeve, just very, very quickly, I was just going to add too that at moments of awareness with understanding, the awareness actually guards or is restrained at that moment with understanding. So it develops with understanding to restrain from unwholesomeness at that moment of guarding. So it's not I who restrains or anyone. It's sati, which guards, which is developed with the understanding of realities. We can discuss more next time. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Ajahn.
everyone.
Thank you, and everyone.
ดี
Yeah.
ขอบคุณมากอาจารย์
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดี